Hi, I'm Elissa.
And I'm Robert, and this is Fighting Over the Remote. We've been together for about 3 years, and the one thing we can agree on is that we cannot agree on what to watch. So we decided to take the free will out of it. Every week, one of us is going to pick another movie for the other to watch, and there's no getting out of it. We're required to watch that movie.
That's right.
This week, you have chosen
Pride and Prejudice. The 2005 version with Keira Knightley.
With Keira Knightley and Matthew Macfadyen.
Do the woman first. She's more important.
You already said her name, so
I know, but you started talking over me.
Pride and Prejudice follows the Bennett family, which has 5 girls, all living in their parents' house still. They all are without husbands, which is very scandalous. Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy come to town for the summer for some reason. And of course, the Bennett's mom decides that, her daughters have got to marry these rich men. So the rest of the movie is basically them trying to get Jane and Elizabeth, well, I guess mostly just Jane, married to Mr. Bingley. Elizabeth, she just doesn't like Darcy. Darcy's kind of a dick for most of the movie. And then towards the end, he's not so much of a dick. She finds out he was troubled. He had a lot weighing on his mind, and he decided to not say any of it out loud and confuse everybody. And for some reason, this made her fall in love with him. And yeah, the movie ends with him paying for her sister's marriage or something, and that makes her fall in love with him. And so they, of course, have the big romantic love scene at the end, where they don't have sex, they just kiss each other's hands and whisper. Yeah, then they're married. We don't get to see the marriage, which I think is a strange choice. That's Pride and Prejudice. Let's get on to the discussion.
Anyway, I had the remote this week, so that's why I got to pick.
And you chose Pride and Prejudice.
That's right.
Why did you choose Pride and Prejudice?
I chose Pride and Prejudice because you don't really watch period films. I don't think you really like period films.
I don't know if that's true. I like good period films.
That's really fucked up of you to say. I don't know. I didn't think you would watch Pride and Prejudice because, well, I think it's twofold, right? It's a period piece, but it's also a romance. I think that's where you probably wouldn't. Unless it has lesbians in it, then you will.
You watch one movie one time.
No, how many times did you see it? We're talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
I think
you saw it in the theaters twice. Alone.
No, I saw it once alone. I saw it once to impress a girl.
It wasn't me.
We hadn't met yet.
He dated someone before
I'm so sorry.
me.
I'm
awful.
so sorry. I know you were celibate before you met me.
Absolutely,
but,
I was.
Virginal,
truly.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's why I picked it. I didn't think you would want to watch it. And I'd been wanting to rewatch it because the girlies love Pride and Prejudice. And when it starts to get cold outside, it's time to watch it. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, I wouldn't not watch it because it's a romance. It's more like when I'm looking for something to watch, romance is not like where I land.
Oh, that's
unless it's like
for me
a new release. You know, like I love Call Me by Your Name, but part of like why I watched that movie in the first place is because it was a new release.
Yeah.
And it was getting like Oscar buzz, and like Timothy Chalamet was like the new hot thing, and
right.
I was like, oh, I got to check out this movie everybody's talking about.
Robert just really loves the gays, actually.
I support the gays for sure.
And he loves one.
I love
one gay in particular.
2 if you count the dog.
Oh yeah, we have decided our dog is gay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear more about him throughout the podcast. Don't worry.
Yep, he'll let you know.
Absolutely, he'll probably bark a couple times at some point. Milo, do you have anything to say to the people? That's it.
He said some pretty offensive things there. So sorry. We'll cut that out for you guys.
We'll edit that out.
So, when did you first see this movie? How old were you?
Oh God, put me on the spot. I think. So in 2019, I was auditioning for a play for my college because I was a theater kid, if you didn't know that already. And the play was about Mary of the Bennets. She was the youngest, not the young. I don't remember if she was the youngest one, but I think she was like in the middle. I think she was the middle child. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyways,
Let's make sure we get that right.
it's important. The play was about Mary, which you'll hear more about as we talk about the movie, but basically she's like the one in the movie that like is really not acknowledged at all. She doesn't have any suitors. She, is always in the corner. She doesn't really like men. Relatable. Um so the play was about her. So I watched Pride and Prejudice. I watched a couple of other Jane Austen movies. And so I think I must have been 19 at the time, maybe 20. And spoiler alert, I did not get the part in the play. I only worked on my audition for 5 months, so no big deal at all. But anyway, yeah, that's when I watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
All right.
welcome.
2019, that was the answer?
2019. I needed the people to know about it because it was relevant to my experience.
Okay, what better place to trauma dump?
Exactly. What better place to trauma dump? That's why people have podcasts, Robert.
Exactly.
Figuring it out.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah, and this was your first time watching it.
I think I'd seen bits and pieces. I've definitely seen
The
certain
funky scene.
scenes. Well, like the one where he's confessing his love in the rain. I've definitely seen that
Oh, and they're
scene
standing
before.
next to the columns. Yeah.
Yes. I've definitely seen like the very first ball scene where everybody goes silent and
When
Matthew Macfadyen walks in like a
he's just like
like a
there.
fucking peacock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that scene for
A
sure.
silent peacock.
Yes. I've seen that scene. I think most of like what I've seen of the movie, I think is actually like indirectly from like Succession coverage.
Oh, just like as you're watching Matthew Macfadyen, like
because like when you watch like Succession videos, like people will reference the fact that Matthew Macfadyen was Mr. Darcy like quite often. So
Yeah.
they'll show little clips. So I think I've seen a bunch of little
Did
clips.
you
here
read
and
the
there.
book?
Pride and Prejudice? No.
I don't know why, but I feel like
I went
you
through
would've-
I went to school in Texas, so we didn't read any books by women.
Amen. Who needs them?
I think we read a Barbara Kingsolver novel one year.
Oh, absolutely.
But that was it.
The Poisonwood Bible?
Yeah.
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 Nice.
Texas.
Did you have any expectations going into the movie?
I think
because you knew we were watching it before I put it on.
Yeah. I think I thought I was going to like it because I do like when I was a kid, I had such a crush on Keira Knightley. And I think like my love for Keira Knightley and my love for Rosamund Pike as well. And then of course I knew Matthew Macfadyen from Succession, Tom Wamsgam. So I knew I was going to be like, oh, that's Tom the whole movie. And I knew like I love Keira Knightley, so I was like I knew like the acting was gonna be good at least. Which I think is like a bad movie can kind of save itself with good acting. Not that this was a bad movie by any means.
I was gonna say it's a bad movie.
No, it was a good movie.
Yeah. It is a good movie.
Yeah. So I guess that brings us to like what our initial thoughts were. I guess like what were your initial thoughts on like your first viewing compared to like now?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm gonna get some haters for saying this. I am not the biggest Keira Knightley fan.
She hates her.
No, that's not what I said. I don't hate her. I do think I think she's a great actress. I do. I just feel like sometimes her mannerisms as a person come out in her character and it's kind of distracting. Like she does a lot of staring and the laugh was kind of a lot. I even remember like being like kind of like, what was that? Where she's like like the just like weird like
Mhm.
laugh. I remember from that watching that the first time I was like, that's kind of weird. Because she would just like laugh really loud at like some certain lines that she had. I mean, as the character. I remember like really loving the romance and like I remember being frustrated at how long it took to build up. But then like once the wave of like the romance kind of comes over the movie, then it's like, oh, okay, we're good. It's just like stressful that first part because you're like, oh my God, when is this gonna happen? Like, you're like, how is she actually gonna like him? I remember it having really great cinematography. Um, although I feel like I was reminded that some of the shots were like so old. Like, the
Mm.
style was like kind of jarring at times, like the push ins and like
Yeah.
the certain close ups were just kind of like, what's happening? You know?
Yeah. Um yeah, I mean like even if like you just watch the um movie with like zero like acknowledgement of the story and the acting, like it's a very beautiful movie.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
It makes England look spectacular.
Yeah.
Um
Swampy marsh.
while we were watching, you pointed out the scene where Darcy's like walking through the field and he's like just wearing like
His
his
nightshirt,
his like
which is
nightshirt.
so
It's completely
sultry.
untied. He's like showing his
Oh,
like
God.
burly chest and he's just walking. It's like sunrise. There's like an amber glow behind him.
That's so hot. That's so hot. And they're just walking. And it's gotta be like, what, 5 in the morning? And they're just
I'm
walking
sure.
towards each other.
And to your point about
Mm.
Keira Knightley, she's just staring at him with no like with what I would
Yeah.
call a blank expression.
That's what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying she's not a good actress. She's a great actress. It's just like, sometimes I'm like, girl, you're giving us nothing. Yes, girl, give us nothing. Sorry, the hand part of that scene, we're jumping ahead. We're jumping to the end of the movie. The hand part of that scene where she kisses his hand, he gives her this look where you're like my
Yeah.
heart like melts. And she like does not nothing on her face.
Mhm.
Which I guess is like fitting for the character, but at the same time I'm like that was the most beautiful look I've seen a man give a woman and you just stared at him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think like the character is like a little reserved
Yeah,
in like their positive emotions. I feel like she's very
sure.
like the character is very quick to express anger and
Frustration.
like frustration.
Yeah.
But like outside of like her family when she's showing like love and affection, I feel like she is a little bit like stone faced with that. So I think I
Yeah.
can understand how that would be a like a character choice, but it is it is like a little jarring at times. Like it takes you out of the scene when
Mm.
uh like when he's confessing his love and she's just staring at him. It's very
Yeah.
it is a very I guess we're getting a little into like our criticisms a little early. And I think but I think we're just getting them out of the way. I don't think this is not a movie that I had very many criticisms of.
No, no,
Um and really
no.
I thought Keira Knightley was like amazing in a lot of it.
Yeah.
Uh it was just like a 5 to 10% that I was just like a
It's just kind
little
of, yeah, it takes you out of it a little bit.
yeah. But I think that's 99% of performances. I mean, should we get into like a little bit more like specific discussion? Should we talk about um
Yeah.
characters or
I personally am obsessed with Mr. Bingley. I think he's adorable and precious.
at the dad?
Oh, wait, shit. Who's. No, that's Bennett.
Yeah.
Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bingley's the red haired guy that marries Rosamund Pike.
Oh, right,
Oh my God, what's her name? What's her character's name?
Grace? Something like that?
Pull it
Yeah.
up. Please hold.
We'll get stats and research on this. Jane.
Jane. Yeah, so I love Mr. Bingley. I think he's precious. He was very well cast. may I say. I think he was very well cast. I love Rosamund Pike as Jane. Personally, I think her and Matthew Macfadyen were the best actors in the movie.
Yeah.
I just feel like Rosamund Pike just like as Jane just brings like such a lightness. Like there's like such a glow about her in this movie. And she is Jane. Like the character is just like so fitting and like beautiful.
And I think she's just like
So talented.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. I love Rosamund Pike.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because like Keira Knightley has so many of these like Jane
Big
Austen
credits.
like sort of roles.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Rosamund Pike doesn't really have a lot of stuff like this, I feel like.
not that's like not it's like mainstream, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure somebody's just like, oh my god, fucking idiots. She was in this.
She was in
this.
yeah.
But like Keira
Please
Knightley
hold.
was in Atonement. She was in
Yeah.
which I know wasn't like Jane Austen, but like
it's the vibe.
It's kind of like a period piece.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
She was in Anna Karenina.
I haven't seen that. Don't plan on it. Sad.
But
I
yeah,
think,
Rosamund Pike was amazing in this.
Yeah, and I loved Mr. Bennett. I loved that actor as him. I think the sisters were all really well cast.
Yeah.
With Carey Mulligan and what's the other sister's name? Jenna Malone.
Lydia. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tallulah as Mary. Tallulah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's ex-wife, some might call her.
Which she might be known as nowadays. Anyways, yeah, I thought everyone was cast really well. I also like that because the sisters were cast so well, it kind of gives a little bit of that Little Women kind of vibe.
Yes, yeah.
Which I was reminded of. I think I hadn't seen Little Women wasn't out when I saw Pride and Prejudice the first time. But now that I've seen Little Women and I watched Pride and Prejudice again, I was like, that's really sweet.
Mm.
I just really liked that it just felt. I think movies that are coming out now, like there's something about like after the Barbie movie has come out, there's just like such. I just hold like so much love in my heart for movies that just show women being women and like watching Little Women, like watching Pride and Prejudice is just so sweet to see just like sisters. They're just sisters. And like, I mean, obviously like this movie is a lot about like getting a husband and being attractive and but like just seeing them interact is really fun.
Yeah.
I thought the mom was really well cast because she plays a terrible mother.
Yeah.
And I don't mean she is like she does some bad things to her kids. She's really mean. She's a mean mommy.
Yes, but she's a very believable like mother in that time.
Yeah, just trying to marry her daughters off. And if I can remember, like it all feels very reminiscent of the book. I don't think I finished the book, but I read a lot of it because it's very thick and it has a lot of words where I was like,
who has the time?
I don't know. Who has the time? Says the man
in this day and age?
Who reads books that are like 1,000 pages. Anyway, yeah. What about you? Did you have any other characters you really liked?
I mean, I think we would be remiss not to mention Mr. Collins.
Mr. Collins?
Isn't that what his name is?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the friar kind of guy.
Tom Hollander's character, yeah.
So funny. Oh, so funny. And he's like 4 feet tall. I love it.
Yeah. He plays such a great, like, I mean, I guess he's not really a villain in this. He's more of like a counterweight.
He's a little bit of a villain.
But I don't think he's like villainous. I think he's just sort of antagonistic. But I don't think it's like, you know, it's not like his character in well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh yeah.
For
White Lotus.
White Lotus. But yeah, I mean, I love Rupert Friend, but you know, Mr. Wickham he seemed kind of sleazy when I saw him on screen, and then
he ended up being sleazy, and you were like, yeah,
I can see that.
So what's his name? Rupert Friend?
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious. It's probably not pronounced like that. So Rupert Friend, he was in Asteroid City. which was great. He was great in Asteroid City. But he was also in this show. Oh, God. I can't remember what it's called. He was in this. Yeah. Pull it up. He was in this show that was just awful. Anatomy of a Scandal. That's it. It's based on a book. I didn't read the book, but I watched the show on Netflix. The show, incredible. Trigger warning, though. If you have some sexual assault things, don't watch it. It's like about a rape case. But he plays the rapist. And so when I saw him at Asteroid City, I was like, I'm scared. But because he's such a great actor, I didn't feel like I was like watching, like, you know, like it's kind of like what you said about Matthew McFadden, like you're watching Tom. Like it wasn't like that. I know you didn't say that. You were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like that with him in Asteroid City, and I didn't feel like that with him in this, even though he's like so much younger in this movie. I just remembered, oh, I've seen him in something before, and then I remembered what it was, but I thought he did great.
Let's discuss like sort of what we thought about. I mean, I guess it's hard to get into the writing of it because it's
based
a
on
novel.
a book. Yeah.
But I think like, sorry, go ahead.
No. Good.
No, I was just gonna say, if you want, we can just kind of pivot to discussing like the direction.
Yeah.
Because we kind of talked about the cinematography before, and I think,
yeah,
you know, and I know that cinematography is not always the director. It's not always
cinematographer. If you haven't watched this movie in a while and you go watch it, it's so fun. It's just like some of the shots are just like, what was that? Like, what was that? Or like the slow push-ins on certain characters, or like the quick, like, oh, the part where she's sitting on the swing. I hate that part where she's sitting in the swing next to the stables and it's just going in circles. I hate that. It made me dizzy. I remember
really?
that from the first time I watched it.
Oh.
It made me dizzy because it just keeps going in circles, and it keeps going in circles like around and around her, and I just really. Oh, so is this a cinematographer?
No, this is the director.
Oh.
I think Pride and Prejudice was like his
see.
first
period piece
feature.
Film,
maybe.
Okay.
I mean, well, he won an award for best newcomer. I don't think it was his first like film, but let's see, bunch of TV series. Yeah, I think it was his first feature film. So I think there's like a little bit of like flair that was not necessary at times.
Yeah, like some of it I did, like some of the like flair that he has I do really like certain shots, like where the light's coming in a certain way or like something like that. But yeah, like some of his individuality is a little distracting, I feel like, in some areas.
I think like where it excelled was some of the like longer shots that were like either like, you know, at a fixed like a fixed composition, like the one where he's walking through the mist in the sunrise. And then there's also some like during the balls that are like kind of longer shots, and they kind of track a little bit. And I think those were really, really like really beautiful, really nice. There were some shorter, like weird cuts, which I guess would be on editing. And then there's some like just quick zooms on characters' expressions. And those, like whenever that would happen, I would be like, what just happened? Why did you do that? Because it would be like, I can see her face. You don't need to zoom in and show me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you know, like I expect that in like a Martin Scorsese movie. I'm not expecting that in this Jane Austen period piece.
Oh, talking about another scene, I love the hand thing where he helps her into the carriage, and then he's like that.
That was improv.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's what I saw online. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna take it like it's true.
So I wonder how many times they had to do it, like, because he was probably doing that in character, and they caught it, and then they were like, "Oh, let's get a close up of his hand." That's so cool. Actors are so cool. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the costumes.
Yeah.
Because I think something that kind of goes wrong with period pieces is they do the costumes, they overdo the costumes. And I feel like these ones were like still like earthy toned, kind of colors,
Mhm.
and like the dresses were not crazy because like especially when they're showing like the Bennets, like as it's established in the movie, the Bennets are not like incredibly rich. Like obviously they have quite a few kids, so they have some money so they can afford to feed them and have help in the house, etc. But like their dresses don't have like sequins, I mean, or like beading. Like I feel like a lot of dresses at that time for like families that were richer would have like beading or
Mhm.
like intricate design. And they didn't do that just to have the costumes be prettier. They did them like more so towards like whatever, the characters would be wearing to something like that.
Yeah.
And I really, I just, one thing that I just thought of was when Mr. Darcy's on his black horse with his giant ass long black cloak.
Yeah.
And he's with Mr. Bingley, and Mr. Bingley's on his cute little white horse and his little short jacket, Um, yeah, I thought the costumes were really good. I really liked the costumes a lot, and the hair and makeup, obviously, the makeup was minimal, which I love. I love when movies do that, especially for period pieces, because I'm like, they're not wearing makeup anyways. They would maybe be wearing like
Yeah.
a little mascara and like rouge, but that's really it.
I think Keira Knightley was really the only one wearing like a noticeable amount, and I mean,
Yeah.
she just had like eyeshadow, I guess.
I think she definitely had some eyeliner on her under eye.
Yeah.
I noticed that. And like obviously like some foundation. I'm sure they all had some on, but
Yeah, but it
yeah,
definitely wasn't
yeah.
overhanded. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't like a Baz Luhrmann movie or anything like that. I think
No.
like the costumes felt very like lived in like a good way,
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of times you'll see movies that take place in like this time period and you'll feel like
Oh, they
they
made it.
just pulled the costume
Yeah.
straight off the rack and threw them on.
Yeah.
And
Or they made it like they made that dress specifically for this
yeah,
part.
like Darcy's nightshirt, like it was a little ruffled. It wasn't like starchy and stiff. I mean, I think like Bingley and his sister were like the two like that were the most like stiff. Like, because Bingley was wearing like the longer coats. He was wearing
they
the
were
waist.
richer.
He was wearing the vest that was like tightly buttoned.
Yeah.
He was always standing upright.
That's true.
And then
The
his
status.
his sister was such like a like you knew she was wearing like a corset, and you knew she was
very
like
tight. Yeah.
and she was
And
wearing
she
a
had them
dress that
pull
was
it a little-
uncomfortable,
A little
and
extra tight. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but that's a good point. We should the costumes were, I think that's one of the Oscars that it was nominated for was costume design, which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Keira Knightley was actually nominated for Best Actress, which I thought was interesting. I think
Who
it's
won
interesting.
that year?
I don't know. Let's see if we can find it.
2005.
Let's see. 2006 nominee.
Oh, 2006.
It's the movie's from 2009, but the Oscars are the
2005.
next year, I think. Let's see.
Oh, please hold.
Yeah, please hold. All you listening at home, you can play the game with us. Just yell out your answers.
Wait, I think you went a little too far.
I sure did not. It's right.
Oh, weird. 2005.
Let's see. Reese Witherspoon won for Walk the Line, which I think is interesting.
Wait, who else was okay? Oh, I have not heard of any of those. Okay, interesting.
Heard of Trans America. That's the issue with the Oscars. I don't think that they really represent the general movie going audience. There's lots of movies that are not necessarily, I guess I shouldn't say anything's not worth watching, but
well, I mean, we're trying to keep the movies that we pick more of a general consensus here. We're not watching the super artsy fartsy movie boy movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we might there will be some of those. But
yeah, probably.
But like eventually. Yeah. yeah, I could see her being nominated. I do still think Keira Knightley did a good job. I just
Yeah, no. That wasn't the point I was trying to make. She, yeah, she was great in the movie. I have no issue with her being
we were
nominated.
talking
I
about the
think,
costumes. That's
yeah, this was
yeah,
a little bit of a digression. Well,
that's okay.
we'll probably cut this.
That's fine.
Yeah, but the costumes were really good. It was one of the things that it was nominated for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Keira Knightley was nominated for Best Actress, which I think is interesting because I feel like every scene that her and Matthew Macfadyen were in together, I do
Mm-hmm.
think he kind of stole the scene. Like,
Oh yeah,
he just has like, so like
he
I'm
has a
surprised he didn't. I don't
presence.
think he was on screen enough to get a Best Actor nom, but you would think he would
Yeah,
get like a Best Supporting. But
he
I think the dad might have gotten a Best Supporting.
really. I thought Matthew McFadden in this role is so good, and I told Robert also there was this like joke about what was not nominated.
No, the dad was not nominated.
Oh,
I don't know where I got that.
I don't know. You were just guessing. That's fine. I was telling Robert about how there is this like conspiracy theory that like he had on a prosthetic nose or something in the beginning of the movie because suddenly like you find him like slightly attractive and then suddenly when they're in the scene where they're out by the columns at the church and he's confessing her love to him, all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my god, he's so hot." When did it happen?
Yeah.
I don't but I think it's just that you're falling in love with him while she's falling in love with him while like as they've like progressed like oh he's so good in this.
I think it's the way I think it's like sort of like his whole like I think his costuming got a little bit better. It stopped being so like they opened up his shirts a little bit more.
Yeah.
They definitely gave him a haircut. His hair looks way better at the end of the movie than at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure the lighting they make better.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree he is like clearly much more attractive at the end, but like I don't think that they like had prosthetics on him. I think that's a little I don't think that would
Sorry everyone, it's past my bedtime.
um
Yeah. I just thought that was funny that there was like a conspiracy theory about it.
yeah.
Do you have some favorite scenes of the movie?
I mean, I really love the scene where they're touring Darcy's estate and her aunt and uncle are like ahead of her
Oh,
with
yeah.
the maid or the whatever
Yeah.
the lady.
Maid, house
Um,
manager, whatever.
Yeah, it's been a while since we watched Downton Abbey. I don't remember what the proper titles are.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But Keira Knightley's sort of like lazily following, and she's just gazing at everything, and then she gets hung up on the statue of him, and I think like,
And she finds the sister.
yes, and then she like totally creeps on the sister, and I was like, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna kill the sister right now? But then Darcy comes in and foils her plan to murder his sister.
No.
No, but I really love that scene because I think it was sort of like I think it's kind of on the gas pedal for the first like half of the movie, and then I think in that scene it kind of like lays off the gas a little bit, and it's just kind of like
Yeah.
it just kind of slows down. Um it's just Elizabeth walking through the house, realizing that she made this mistake with him,
Yeah.
but not ready to admit it.
Yeah. When they see each other and she just is like, "Oh, I have to leave."
He's like, "Can I walk you back?" She's like, "No, I like walking." And he was like, "Yeah, fucking no, I just said that."
Yeah, we're just gonna walk with you, bitch.
Okay, well, I'm gonna pass you on the road because I'm gonna take my wagon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because then he meets up with her when they're at the tavern. He comes to the tavern. She comes down for dinner, sees him, and then leaves, and then comes back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something like that.
Something like that.
Then she finds out that Lydia stole off with Wickham.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that his name?
Yeah,
That was-
Mr. Wickham.
I think like,
Wickham.
I mean, maybe I'm just a moron, but like, I really like had a hard time
No, that was
following.
she found out about that the next night when they went back.
Oh, okay.
He just left.
Oh yeah, because he was there.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah,
and
he
she
was.
found that out.
Mm.
Yeah, I had a hard time following the like I enjoyed those scenes because they were so like chaotic and it was fun seeing all of the characters like mingle.
Mm.
But I like the Lydia part. I guess like you had to be there to like understand
I think
the
it made a lot
rules.
more sense in the book. I remember that. Like,
And I'm sure it explains it in the book.
yeah, because it's just like, I mean, she's kind of rebelling against her mom. Lydia's kind of rebelling against her mom, but
Yeah.
also is playing exactly into what her mother wanted for her. So it's like
Mhm.
kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love all of the dancing.
Yeah. I was gonna say the initial ball scene.
Yeah.
I
Oh
do
my
really
God.
like.
I think one of my favorite scenes is when Lizzie and Jane are dancing, and Lizzie's dancing with Mr. Collins, and he's talking to her, and she's also talking to her sister, and her sister's telling her about, I think her sister's talking to her about Mr. Darcy, whether or not he's going to be there, like something. It was something like that, right?
I don't remember.
It was something about, I think it's something about Mr. Darcy, and then Mr. Collins is talking about how he like finds her attractive and like how he's wanting to follow her around like basically like a dog for the rest of the night, and she's
Yeah.
just like not listening to him, and they're like passing through everything. And like I love the scene where her and Darcy are doing that too.
Hmm.
I just love that as like a tactic, I guess. Like I love that they like used this, choreographed
Yeah.
movement. And it didn't, honestly, like I feel like I think about like Bridgerton or something where there's like so much dancing and it's like what's going on? I mean, obviously it's different with Bridgerton because they're playing like Ariana Grande or something.
Yeah.
But I like how much dancing there was, and I like that it felt very real. Like it felt like, oh, I'm at a ball and I'm watching
Mhm.
people dance.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to the costumes. I think like even the set design is so like modest.
Yeah.
That it's like it's funny cuz like the Bennett's like house seems so quaint,
Yeah.
but it's still like very nice and cute.
Yeah, and big.
Yeah. And you don't really like understand like when Bingley's sisters like they're so like they're so impoverished
Until you see
impoverished or
impoverished.
impovered
Until they see
impovered as hell.
until
Then you see Darcy's house.
then you see their house and you're like,
You're like, okay.
well, when you see Mr. Bingley's house and when you see Mr. Darcy's house, you're like, oh, they have a giant sitting room and they have like ornate furniture
Yeah.
and candelabras.
And you're like, okay, I get it. You're better than them.
Yeah. I am also obsessed with the scene where Mr. Bingley is coming over. Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley are coming over.
That's a good one.
And all of the sisters and the mother are like running around and trying to act like they were doing things. And I was thinking about that scene and I was like, what is so fucking funny is that if you picture that, let's say that's a real life scenario.
Mm.
You picture that as a real life scenario. Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy are seeing all of them doing this. Like they are walking up and they're passing windows. Because I say that because literally there's like the shot where Darcy and Bingley are acting out what he was going to say to them and how he didn't say how he wanted to say. So they go back. When they're going back, they show the shot of him walking up to the door and all of the sisters are like, oh my God, he's coming back. Why is he coming back? And you see the open windows. So I was picturing the scene just a second before where all of the sisters and all of the mom are like fucking losing their minds that he's walking up to the door and like throwing books at each other and acting like it's just so funny. I love that. It's so like silly and like I don't know. I loved that scene. Picturing them through the window doing that as you're walking up to try to propose.
Yeah.
So funny.
I think the last like moment that like really stood out to me is the scene where Mr. Collins is talking to the mom and he's like, well, I think Jane is pretty hot. And she's like, well, Jane's actually taken. How about Elizabeth? He goes, I think Elizabeth's pretty hot.
I think Elizabeth's really hot, actually.
I think she's really hot.
I'd love to marry her.
The mom's just like, get these fucking girls out of my house.
Yeah, this mom's like, do it. God, she is really so mean. She is such a mean character.
I get it though. You got 5 kids in the house. You're trying to get them the fuck out of there.
But get them the fuck out of there. But why do they all have to get married when they're fucking 10?
It was the times.
I guess. Oh! I just remembered another scene. The scene where Darcy shows up at Colin's house when Lizzie's visiting, and he comes in and he just stands there. What did he say? He said good morning or something, and he just stands there.
And he was like, I think the governor's fixed up this house right before Mr. Collins moved in.
Right. And she's like, sure.
And she's like, I think you're right. And he's like, good day.
Goodbye. Yeah. And then he leaves. I love that, because that's when you're like, oh, Mr. Darcy's a human. Because before that, you're like, okay, we get the Mr. Darcy thing. He's mysterious and he's acting like he doesn't like Lizzie, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then you see that part and you're like,
well, that's kind of like when
goose.
Every scene they're in, you're kind of wondering when they're going to like confess their love. Because you're like,
yeah, you're just waiting.
Obviously, you guys fucking love each other. Jeez, just sleep together already, okay? Which I think brings us to
the horniness
of this movie. I think part of the horniness is not from the movie itself, but from like the TikTok, Tumblr,
absolutely,
like Twitter, like what would you call it? Like culture surrounding this movie.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where like most of my like prior knowledge of this movie came from, is just like thirst traps of Matthew Macfadyen showing up.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, it's so funny, like knowing him from like Succession and stuff like that, like just how horny like people are
absolutely
for him in this movie. And I mean, like,
do you get it now though?
I do get it. I got it before. Like I could like objectively watch like scenes from the movie and be like, okay, I get it. Like, yeah, he's pretty hot in this. And I think watching it, I think I was expecting like a little bit more intimacy.
Yeah.
You really only
want sex. I want them to have sex in a shed or something hot like that.
Yeah, which is why I don't think I could give this movie like a 5-star horniness rating.
No. Oh God, no, it does not have a 5-star.
I think I would give it like a 3. Because I think you automatically get a point taken off for not having sex.
Agreed. And they only kiss once, right?
I think they have like the passionate kiss at the end, and that's it.
Oh God, that's not enough. I think what makes this movie so horny for me personally, number one, Mr. Bingley.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a man being nice to me, absolutely, I'll fuck you. Like, bring it on, Mr. Bingley. Number two, I mean, he's not
that easy, huh?
He's not. Yeah, absolutely. You're nice to me, I'm in love with you already. End of story. Yeah. Number two is above number one, but you know what I mean. I think it's just they hate each other. Oh no, they want to fuck each other. Like, it's like the like switch is so hot, and the tension, you could cut it with a knife, is just like, once it finally happens, which I will say, I don't love how long it takes to get there. I think we could get there a little bit quicker. I think there's just like, I think the buildup is great, but I think there could be like a little bit less time before you're like on track with what's happening. Like, you're like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, but I think like the like delayed gratification is like what makes it such a lasting like story.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
Because like,
well, we've all had like kind of a situation similar where it's like a will they, won't they, and then there's like a long period of time, or like there's complications, or like something like that. Like, so it feels kind of like a universal understanding of like, they're going to, but we have to wait for it.
On to nitpicks. What? So, like, right after Elizabeth meets Mr. Darcy, she's underneath the bleachers, and she hears him just straight up talking shit, calls her not handsome.
Fucked up.
Like, fuck off. And
fuck off!
And I'm supposed to believe Keira Knightley is
yeah,
like
would be talked about
is
like
like,
that. Yeah.
oh, he doesn't believe I'm beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna marry him.
Yeah, that seems pretty fun. You're saying that you're nitpicking it because she makes a joke about marrying him, or that he said that about her.
No, I just don't believe that any woman who heard a man talking to her like that
Yes.
would,
Yes.
and like especially a
Yeah.
woman who had like the self confidence that Keira Knightley's character has.
Well, the self confidence she has, and the fact that she has 5 sisters.
4.
4.
And a best friend.
4. Is it 4?
Yeah, there's 5
4.
sisters.
I hear what you're saying, and I echo it because there is something incredibly frustrating as a woman watching a movie like that, seeing how he treats her towards the beginning of the movie is incredibly excruciating. But at the same time, it's like that's sometimes how women are in like heterosexual relationships. That's how women are. They're like, this guy was really mean to me, but I love him. And you're
Yeah.
like, girl, what?
I mean, he negged her.
He did kind of neg her a little bit. You're not
He
wrong.
did.
He did. Yeah. But that's why it's so, yeah, it is a little bit funny. You're like, wait, now you like him? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you because I think it's also like his character just like thinks he's better than everyone, you know? So I think like towards the beginning of the movie, he's just like allowing that to fester more and like allowing it to show more. And then eventually he's like, okay, maybe I like her.
Yeah.
But like it is fucked up that he said that and that she heard him say that. And then she still was like, oh, but.
And then like a character like Elizabeth who has so much like skepticism, she just like immediately falls for Wickham. That was a little weird to me
Yeah,
too.
Wickham's
Like,
a weird one.
He's in one scene and Elizabeth's like undressing for him. She's like so ready to believe everything he says. And like I get
Yeah.
that like she's already like predisposed to not like Darcy. But she was so quick to believe the stuff that Wickham was saying about Darcy.
That's true.
And it's
That
just
is true.
she seems like such a skeptic.
Well,
So to me, I was
yeah.
just like a little like surprised at how quickly she was just like, oh yeah, Mr. Wickham told me all about this.
Well, I also feel like not a lot of people knew anything about Darcy.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie. So I feel like once she gets like a tidbit of information, it's also like, I think in the book it's probably more obvious when her adoration towards Mr. Darcy starts, because it is kind of confusing in the movie where it like actually starts, but like, yeah, it's like, wait a second, you hated this man, now you love him.
All in all, I think it's just it's a great movie. It's a fun movie. I think I will definitely watch it again. I think for me there's a scale of movies, right? Like a 5 is like, oh, I would be down to watch this at any time.
Yeah.
And there's really like
very few movies.
I've seen 5s, but they're not very common. And like a 5 is not a perfect movie. A 5 is just a movie that like I absolutely love and I'm willing to watch at any point.
Robert's a little harsh on his 5 stars.
I just think like, you know, like I don't like to give perfect 10s because like
there's always something to work on.
I mean, there is. But with movies, like I think I would give like a 5, like, you know, like a Jurassic Park is a 5 for me. Like I'm always willing to watch Jurassic Park.
Interesting.
You know, I won't give more because
because we're probably gonna watch them.
I might pick some for you.
I
think I would give this a 3 or a 4. I think if like, and like a 3 is not bad. A 3 is like I really enjoyed this. I would not watch it like on my own.
Oh, you wouldn't watch it again?
No, I would watch it again. Just like for my rating scale. If I gave it a 3 to me is a movie that I enjoyed. I am not going to like ever suggest. Really.
Got it.
A 4 would be a movie that like I really enjoyed and I would like suggest it if I was in the right mood.
I'm going to take this as a win for me.
And then a 5 would be like, I'm always down to watch.
I'm gonna take it as a win. If
So
it's a 3 or a 4.
I think it would be a 3.5 for me. I could see a like situation where I would be like,
We should watch
you
this.
watch Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah. Yeah. I also another thing I thought you would like was the score.
Yeah, I did. I did
just thought
really
of
enjoy
that.
the score. Yeah, we should have discussed that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think
I love the repetition of the one song. I love that.
we love a motif.
Oh, the way it comes back at the end when he's walking through the fog. Oh.
I think
Fucking love
one
that
of the
scene.
Oscar nominations was the score.
I
actually.
believe it. That's good.
Wait,
can I talk about that scene one more time?
Yeah.
Okay, so when he says something like, I hope you know it was all for you, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Dead.
We should have done like some best lines from the movie.
I wrote some down.
That's a
one.
really good one.
That's one of them. There was
surely you knew it was all for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and she kisses his hand and then the sun's like coming through them.
Yeah.
That shot's insane. Like that shot's insane.
There's one that like so during the like the raining scene.
Mhm.
We're just doing this way out of order, but
That's fine.
during like the scene where he first confesses his love and it's raining, at the very end she's like just like really rejected him in like just like the worst way. And
when they're outside the church.
yeah, and he says like, I'm so sorry to have taken or wasted so much of your time. But he does this little like head like twitch thing that like anybody who's like ever felt that knows what that means. And it's just like, oh, I have so much left to say and I don't mean
and
this.
I
like,
am choosing to not say it to
I'm
you.
not sorry for taking up your time. Like it was
because
just,
I'm obsessed with you and I love you.
yeah, it's just like the smallest little head tilt and it's just like, and he's got tears in his eyes and it's just like, I can't believe this movie did not make Matthew Macfadyen more of a star. I think after this, he was in Mr. Bean's Wedding. I think that was the movie he did next.
Okay.
Or it was like a short
Yeah.
or something like that. Because I looked at his IMDb because I was like, I don't know what he did between this and Succession.
And that was next, Mr. Bean's movie.
Yeah. If I ever make anything, I'm going to make sure I offer a part to Matthew Macfadyen.
Excuse me. What about me?
You're on the list. I've got a list of...
I'm on the list.
You are on the list.
The top of the list.
Yeah. All right. So should we get to final grades?
Yeah, I'd say for my overall grade of the movie, because I do really enjoy the movie, I would say for me, it's a 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it does have so many good parts.
Yeah.
And I love and the love. So I would watch it again just to watch Matthew Macfadyen in his little nightshirt walking through the fog and watch him cry next to the columns.
You can definitely find that scene on YouTube.
I'll just watch that over and over again, I think.
Yeah.
When I'm having my personal alone time.
Okay. So I think I already gave my grade. I'll give it a 3.5. I think I don't know if I would recommend this to like most like guys, because I think a lot of guys,
sexist.
I think most people who like, I say guys, but I mean like there's like a, there's like a boy movies kind of person and there's a girl movies kind of person.
This is more of a girl movie.
And I feel like somebody
gays,
who
and
likes
the
boy
days.
movies, like they watch Fast and the Furious. And
probably wouldn't
shit
love
like that.
this. They'd be like, what's happening so slow?
I don't understand. Why does Tom Wamsgams not simply fuck Keira Knightley?
I don't get it. Why are they not having sex?
Why has he not
You don't get
presented
it.
his penis?
Yeah, you don't get it. They have a profound love affair. Okay? Yeah, I don't think your average, well, I don't want to say your average because I think that it, like, I will say the language at times is a little bit difficult. So like I think there are some moments where I was like, I don't know what she meant by that, which may make me sound like an idiot, which is fine. But there is like some of the language that's from the book originally that that is a little bit difficult to understand. So I feel like maybe your average movie watcher would be fine with it.
I think there's a lot of people who go into a movie like this with like a predisposition, and they don't watch it like honestly. You know what I mean? So I think like I would be sort of like selective about who I would recommend this movie to.
I think because I feel like there's so much lore around this movie because it's just so precious. Like the characters are just so precious that I think I would recommend it to people that like romance movies and people I think people that do have an understanding of like general good movie things, like the cinematography, like the score, like the costumes, like because it is a beautiful movie. It's not just like a good movie, it's like very gorgeous to watch, which I feel like sometimes means the movie moves kind of slow for like your average like an hour and a half movie watcher that wants everything to happen really quickly and just like be over and done with in terms of plot. Like I think that's the part that would be difficult. You'd have to know the person and whether or not they could sit through a movie like this.
Yeah.
With there being like times where it's like, oh, this is a really beautiful shot, but it's not like advancing the plot actively. So do you still respect my taste in movies after watching Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 version?
I do. It's a very you movie. I knew, like, I think a part of me knew that it was going to be like one of your selections eventually.
Yeah.
I've
only seen it one other time, which is funny. Like, I feel like I would have watched it more than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like you kind of do have to be like focused on it, you know?
Yeah, it's not a movie where you want to be distracted or have other things going on. It's definitely like pretty involved.
Yeah. So, okay. That was our discussion on
Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, if you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to leave a review.
Please.
It's probably the thing that would help us the most.
As we're starting out.
Yeah, give us a rating on whatever you watch.
Listen, watch,
consume.
Thank you.
Yeah, please give us a review, rating, whatever.
Follow us on Instagram,
TikTok.
I'll put the handle in
YouTube,
the Spotify link. Yep.
All that good jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we release a podcast every week.
Yeah.
So please tune in. Next week we will be discussing.
Oh no, Robert has the remote this time. Oh no. Robert has the remote, everyone. I'm scared.
I wanted to pick something with a little bit of horniness, but not too much horniness. We're gonna start off with
You're gonna force me to watch what?
A real fun spy thriller called The Bourne Identity.
No clue what that is.
Are you serious?
No.
Oh my gosh, Matt
Who's
Damon?
in it? Nope.
Really?
No. It sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I'll watch a movie with Matt Damon though.
All right.
Hell yeah.
That's gonna be your assignment.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Catch you next week.